Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rams Revealed podcast. I'm Austin Platt alongside my co host, Dylan Pescatore, and today we are joined by the three boys varsity captains on the new Canaan hockey team. Joining me is Gavin Reid, senior D man, Boden Gammill, the forward, and then the sophomore netminder, Beau Johnson. Boys, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, of course, this year not as successful as the last so far, sitting at 4-4-1. We'll get to the season in a moment, but let's go back to the two captains now, Gavin and Boden. Who are some previous captains that you looked up to and tried to be like?
It's a good question. For me, personally, I have to go with Gunnar Granito. My sophomore year, I was fortunate to, be his line mate. So I was with him basically like by his side every practice and every game. And he's arguably one of the best players to go through this program. But just the way he kind of led by example on and off the ice, he kind of made his players so much better. And he wasn't some like yeller, motivator, yeah, rah, rah, but just the way he led by example on the ice is someone who, I want to be like him, and I definitely admire him.
Yeah, I mean, similarly to Gunnar, I really looked up to Justin Wheatfeld last year. And I mean, although he didn't finish the season as a defenseman, that's the way he started out. And, as the sole defensive captain on the team this year, I learned a lot from him. And I feel like we kind of lead in the same way and the same way as Gunnar as well. I mean, we're not really the loudest kids on the ice, but we sort of bring the same effort to practice every day and kind of just that leader by example.
And the guys had to go to work. That's great. So second question, let's go back to last year. What was that mindset going into that last game, almost about a year ago, a little bit more than that, into that FCIAC championship game? You beat Ridgefield in that, double overtime thriller, and you finally get to meet up with Darien after losing 10-2 in the regular season. What was the mindset in the locker room before the puck dropped that day?
I'll start out. So, even today, our coach was telling us how, he didn't even have to come to the locker room because we were so dialed in by ourselves. And I really think that's what helped us going to the game, because we were just so dialed in. We were so late in the season that we know what we had to do, and we really just brought it. And in the locker room, we were super intense, and I think that really helped us.
Yeah, I think that that earlier 10-2 game was kind of motivation, in itself. We came in that game, I think everyone was picking Darien to win the FCIAC chip, and we kind of just went about our business and, kept it low key, and we're just having fun out there, and we're doing everything we can to help our team. I mean, our senior Bennett Ong had maybe 10 block shots. He was kind of leaving it all on the line for us, and we were successful that game.
Yeah, I mean, and I think especially after that 10-2 loss, we went into that game to everyone else as an underdog. But we kind of, after that game, we went on a winning streak and hadn't lost a game since. And we kind of had a chip on our shoulder that no one else saw other than ourselves. And we knew we could beat them. And we wanted to prove to everyone else that we could do it. And we kind of we went in there, knowing what we could do. And it ended up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and that 10-2 game against Darien was the last game you lost that season, of course, and the season went downwards with the COVID pandemic, and you lost your chance to win states, but the winning streak nearly went for a year, believe it or not. And speaking of FCIAC championships, if this team this year is going to repeat, what is the difference going to be?
Well, I think, what's unique about this team is we have, I believe it's 16 seniors. So even, the seniors that aren't playing still have a key impact, and we kind of got to, lead by example and get these, underclassmen on the right ship. And, we kind of know exactly from, last year, the FCIAC chip, we know what it takes to win, and we kind of just have to pass that knowledge down to everybody.
Yeah, I completely agree with Boden. Everyone has to buy in, and if one person, doesn't matter who it is, and if they're not buying in, we're not going to win the championship. We have to come together as a family, and we got to bond, and we got to play for each other, and we got to put our hearts on the ice. And I think that's what it takes to win.
And I think it's important that we have this many upperclassmen. Almost all of them were on the team last year, so everyone, like Bodie said, knows what it takes to win. So I mean, it just comes down to, all of us, and even though there's only 4 captains, every one of them is capable of being a leader on this team. So I mean, everyone just has to come together, and it's just got to leave everything on the ice. Only got 3 more games left in the regular season, and everyone's just got to buy in.
Of course. So last question for all before we get to the personal questions. What's one player on this roster that came into this year and really surprised each of you?
Well, I got two for you. One's Jack Eccleston, another's Cam Wheatfelt. I think Eccleston definitely deserved some more playing time last year, but I think he definitely got it this year, and he worked his butt off through, fall hockey and working out and all that. And I think he's the leading goal scorer on our team this year. And then Cam Wheatfelt, he's kind of turned into the top 40 on this team. He kind of just brings that energy, that physical presence, and he's a huge key factor on this team.
I'll say Jack Johnson. I mean, everyone's always known that he's a good player and he's always put up points for us, but I feel like he's kind of been having a sneaky, he's flown under the radar this year. I mean, he's put up a lot of goals for us. He's putting in the work, and he's found success on any line that he's played on so far this year. So I mean, I feel like although he had a good season last year, he's kind of blossomed a little more this year.
I'm going to say Luke Lampert, because even though he's injured right now, his first two games were super good. He scored a really good goal against Notre Dame. And I think he's going to come back, and he cares so much about this team. So I think he's going to come back and do so well. He did a lot of training in the offseason, and I think he's ready to go for the end of the season. I think he's playing tomorrow and then for FCIAC, and I think he'll be a great player to have back.
He's such a great guy to get back. Of course, you're kind of looking at who's developed over the years. Yeah, Lampert's one guy I thought of. And I remember Bowen looking at Jack Eccleston. I'm pretty sure the only game he played last year was that Staples game we covered. And he was perfect, just fits right in front of the net, was physical, and has really taken the role that Carter Ellis played last year. And, of course, Cam Wheatfelt as well. Hard to repeat what your brother did, especially when he's at Michigan playing lacrosse. But the physical presence we saw the other night. We'll now go into our more individual questions. Boden, I'll begin with you. There's no secret that you are a hockey family, 5 BGs in your family. How does having 3 older brothers affect you on the ice, and which of those 3 influenced you the most?
It's awesome to have those 3. I think we're kind of just all competitive, and seeing them grow up from youth to high school to prep and now college, to see how successful they are. I kind of take some of their skills and try to incorporate it in my game, which makes me successful at the same time. But specifically, I would say my brother Briggs, because he's a center as well, like me, and he's kind of just he plays defense and offense. He's kind of like a 200-foot player, and I kind of want to be like him and be successful on the offensive side and defensive, center side too.
And then Gavin, what's it like? What was it like sitting behind so many defensemen? Of course, you're in your senior year, but you haven't had too much ice time compared to someone like Boden. So what was it like? What have you learned over the years?
I mean, like I said about Justin, I mean, I've had a lot of players to look up to. I mean, my sophomore year, there were 3 captains on the blue line. So, I mean, I've had a lot of defensive mentors over the year, and, I think I wouldn't be the player I am today without any of them. And I think it's just been a good learning experience. And, I'm glad I got to play behind those guys because, they're great players and they're even better people. So, yeah.
Yeah, the team has cycled through so many defensemen over the years, and of course, having you and Matt Pinella, that is, as seniors, and the same thing will happen next year. And Beau, one question for you now: what's it like playing with so many defensemen that are sophomores as well? What is it like? Obviously, I assume being in some classes with them and just having that relationship and the bond.
Yeah, we're all super close to the younger defensemen, and as well as the older defensemen. We're all super close, and the sophomores and sophomores. We're all, sophomores, we're all super talented, or they're all super talented as a group, and they really can get the job done. We're super close, and that's pretty much it.
All right, now let's go over back to Boden. What's your favorite moment, whether it be, you were on the ice, you scored the goal, a big game at NCHS so far, of course?
My favorite moment. I mean, there's some sick games I've been a part of, but probably our sophomore year first round of states when we played Greenwich. I think we were down 1-0, or I think it was 1-0, and we tied it up with like 10 seconds left from Brendan Knightley. And then first shift of overtime, Gunnar potted one home, and we advanced to the next round. That was pretty electric game for me.
Gotcha. That was a great game. I was there in the stands before we started streaming your games. Gavin, let's go over to you. This is pretty interesting one. We asked McKenna Hart in this one as well, and she gave us a pretty good answer about her sister. Question being, what's the hardest forward you've ever had to defend in the FCIAC so far?
Can I say someone on my own team?
Yep, that's what we took last time as well.
I don't know. I gotta say either Bodie or Jamison Moore. They're two different players. Bodie's. He's not smaller. I think he's bigger than me at this point. But he's so quick on the ice, and you never know what he's gonna do with the puck, whether he's gonna shoot it or pass it. He's just constantly moving. You got to keep your head on a swivel at all times with him. And then you got Jamison, he's fast and strong. He's a very smart player with the puck. And again, you never really know what he's going to do, and he's capable of scoring from anywhere on the ice. So got to keep an extra eye out when he's on there.
Of course, one of the top forwards on the Darien Blue Wave. Back over to Beau. What's one skill you came in with at NCHS that you have worked with your goalie coaches and your coaches as well on the staff that you've really gotten better at throughout last year and now throughout, a half or so of this year?
I'm going to go to a cliche goalie answer and say my confidence. Because coming into the season, I feel like I had pretty good confidence. But especially after that 10-2 loss to Darien and like how we all went on a run after that, I feel like that really boosted my confidence. And now I know that every game, if we come in playing the best that we can, we will win that game. So I think confidence is probably my biggest improvement.
And here's a quick follow-up to that. Do you think that 10-2 game last year from Darien, could you think that this year's game 7-5 against Fairfield Co-op could be like a game like that to get you guys going and motivate you guys?
Yeah, I definitely think it is in the terms of how we can learn from it, because that was definitely a tough loss. No one really played that well, and we could definitely just learn from it, play better, and hopefully now win out and go on and make a run.
Yeah, that was something last year. The Darien 10-2 game was one of the only games I missed last year. And coming back, I saw a score on 7-1 in the second period. This is not New Canaan. And talking to some of you guys, and you guys said we were the better team. It was just not our day. I'm 10-2 is 10-2. That was pretty, a shellacking to say the least. And you guys came back and proved yourselves in the FCIAC final. And after that 7-5 game, which I caught a little bit of, talking to some of you guys, you're yeah, we should have won that game. So hopefully next Wednesday when you guys play them again at home, you can get that revenge. Now we'll go over to our quick hits now, our rapid fire questions. What is the favorite rink to play in outside of Darien Ice House?
For me, we didn't play there this year. We have in the past. I would say Wesleyan University, where we play Xavier. They just have a really nice facility, and yeah, I just like that rink and that ice.
I have to go with the same one.
I was going to say that one too.
Always a good game up there.
3 around the board.
It up, though. Wait, Gavin, we're still talking.
No. You can go.
Oh, okay. I'm going to say I don't like drive. Darien's obviously the best rank, and I don't like driving here. Wesleyan's far too, but the vibes inside Shelton Ice Rink, especially the lower one, it's just super nice. They got that big open lobby. It's super bright in there. Pretty good ice. So I also like Shelton.
Gotcha. It was funny because when we interviewed the girls, Blythe Novick said that Shelton was the rink that she hated the most because she had to, lug her goalie bag up the stairs.
Oh yeah, the upper rink is probably my worst, and then the lower rink might be my best outside Darien.
That's great. All right, so let's go around and each of you, hopefully different. Give us a underrated or surprise player to watch out for as the regular season wraps up and the playoffs start.
I would say Doster Crowell. I think he's similar to Nick McDaniels last year. They're similar size, similar skills, and you saw Nick kind of go on a run come playoff time. I can low key see Doster doing the same thing.
I'm gonna go with Griff Dean. I think he hasn't put up as much as he did last year, but I think he's gonna hit his groove and he's gonna be smooth sailing from here. And I think we're gonna see some Griffin Dean on the score sheet in the next 3 games.
It's hard. I'll go with Sammy Ives. I think he's a pretty scrappy, small player, and I think he'll prove himself towards the end of the season.
All 3 are great answers, of course. Griffin Dean knows how to score big goals. Had the 2 goals against Darien. One of them were shorthanded. And then McDaniels, underrated, had 3 points in that Ridgefield win and that double OT great semifinal game we called. And then next question here. What is your favorite moment with Coach Jones?
For me, I think I believe it was last year. We were playing Ridgefield at Ridgefield, and we were all kind of getting dialed in the locker room. And he came in, and he was all motivated, yelling and screaming at us to get us going, get us hype, and we're all chiming in, all that. And then he kind of left, and we're like, was that Clark? Like, he's usually not like that. We've never really like seen that side of Clark where he comes in the locker room, gets us all hyped up. So that was a pretty funny moment, and we end up winning, I think, 2-0 that game. So it worked.
Yeah, Clark is pretty serious sometimes, but I'm gonna have to say in practice, the end of practices today we did it. Maybe last week we did it. We do this drill called the candy bar drill, and we used to do it in youth where if one guy or two guys can get by 4 guys in each zone and score, the coach will buy them a candy bar. I don't think that's how it works in high school now, but it's just a super fun way to end practice. I like that.
I don't know. There's been a lot of moments with Clark over the years. I think, one thing that kind of shows who he really is as a coach and how much he really cares is 2 years ago. So when we were sophomores, we had a game at the Winter Club where we played against a bunch of coaches and a lot of younger guys like outside of college that played in college. Not full contact, but it was a fast-paced game, and Clark suited up for that game. And everyone knows how good of a hockey player Clark it was and is. And I just remember he did not hold back at all. He went 110%, and he pushed all of us to do the same when we went up against him. And I liked that a lot, and I kind of admire that quality he has.
The great memory. Too bad he has no more high school eligibility. Let's go to our last question. It's kind of a feelings question, get you a little deep in the mind. What's one word or one phrase to describe this team?
I'll take family before anyone else does, because it truly is a family.
Yeah, for me, I would say brotherhood, along the lines of family.
Passionate.
There you go. His family was the one we got last week unanimously, and we're getting the same thing in this episode. That'll be all for this episode of the Rams Reveal with the boys hockey. 2 of the 4 captains, then, of course, the netminder, Beau Johnson. Guys, thank you for joining us. You got 3 big games ahead, a game against Ridgefield on Wednesday, of course, Darien on Saturday, and then Fairfield Co-op following Wednesday. And then the playoffs are here, and hopefully by the end, you guys will be lifting that FCIAC trophy once again. I'm Austin Platt alongside my co-host Dylan Pescatore for Boden, Gavin, and Beau Johnson. Thank you for watching.